Project Management for the Masses podcast, episode 34. Managing Work, Family, and Your Passion with Patrick Snow.
I'm Ringo and I play the drums.
I'm Paul and I play the bass.
I'm George and I play a guitar.
I'm John and I too play a guitar. And once a week I listen to the PM for the Masses podcast on my iPod.
Project managers, have you ever felt like you should get that promotion or a better job? Start a business. Write that book. Have you ever felt you were made for more but didn't know where to start?
Welcome to the PM for the Masses podcast with your host, Caesar Abaid.
Learn from the experts. Think outside the box. Have a voice, network, and be extraordinary.
PM for the Masses podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Project Management for the Masses podcast. My name is Caesar Abaid, your host, and this show is your weekly reminder that your career matters more than your job and that your life is a project and you are the manager. Whether you work for a company or for yourself, your job stability is really just your ability to land your next gig. So, join me in practicing intentional, planned, and value-adding relevance, starting right now. Now, let me tell you about today's episode. Today, I speak with the dynamic and inspiring Patrick Snow on a variety of topics. And our plan here was to talk about managing work and family life and stick to that topic. But he's so inspiring that our conversation just went into all sorts of delightful tangents there. So we do talk about family and managing work and family and your passion, but just in case you're playing this because of the title, I just wanted to let you know that we are going to talk about different things as well, including having a side business and working on your passion. And you'll see it's a very very cool conversation I had with him there, and I'm sure you're going to be pumped at the end to go and do something and work with more passion. I guarantee you that. Now, Patrick, he's a great guest, and he will be flying all the way from Hawaii this week to keynote the 11th PMI Southwestern Ontario Chapter Symposium here in my hometown of London, Ontario, Canada. And I'm also going to be a presenter there for one of the breakout sessions. And my sessions are going to be called Leveraging the Internet to Empower Your Career, Image, and Reputation. And so I just wanted to start this episode by telling you that I'd love to have you come and join me and hundreds of other project managers this Friday, April 11th, at the 11th PMI SWOC, as we call it, Southwestern Ontario Chapter Symposium. You'll have a chance to attend Patrick's keynote, meet me, and if you are a PMP, you'll be able to earn 9 PDUs, so it's a good deal as well. So the theme for the symposium this year is Empowerment plus Inspiration equal Business Success, the formula for energizing projects to optimize results. There's 3 keynotes, a number of breakout sessions, and a fantastic opportunity to network and get to know other professionals in project management here from this area. Now, if you're wondering where London, Ontario is, we are, of course, in Canada, and we are, you might not have heard of London, but London is a 2-hour drive from Detroit. So we cross the border there in Detroit into Canada and drive for a couple hours. We're also 2 hours away from Toronto, and Buffalo, New York. It's also about 2 hours away. So if you can, come and join us here in London. So how about we get started with the show today?
Special guest coming up next. PMforthemasses.com. PMforthemasses.com.
Patrick Snow is an international best-selling author, professional keynote speaker, and publishing and book marketing coach. He discovered his gift for speaking at the age of 17, imagine that, and has since electrified more than 2,500 audiences worldwide to create their own destinies and get more out of life. Patrick's Destiny message has been recognized in major newspapers such as the New York Times, as well as featured as a cover story in USA Today. Patrick is author of the international bestseller Creating Your Own Destiny, which sold more than 250,000 copies since its first printing in 2001. This book and his second book, The Affluent Entrepreneur, have both been picked up by John Wiley & Sons in New York. Patrick's mission is to help others to overcome their fears by turning their career distress into personal success. Very much in line with project management for the masses here, as you can tell. Originally from Michigan, Patrick graduated from the University of Montana in 1991 and has lived in the Seattle area until 2013 and now resides in Maui, Hawaii. Gorgeous place. And so Patrick is on the line with me today from his office in Hawaii. Good morning, Patrick. How are you?
Great, Caesar. Thrilled to be here with you.
So you're calling from Hawaii?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Michigan. Graduated from the University of Montana. Spent 25 years in Seattle, and about a year ago, we moved to Maui, Hawaii.
I won't even ask you why. I think I know why.
I got too tired of the cold, dark, and rain in Seattle. Great summers, but tough winters. And at 45 years old, I just finally decided, it's time to move on to the sunshine.
I hear you. I'll tell you, this winter, this year, just got me that close from that's it. I'm out of here. So I'm not 45 yet. So maybe by 45, I'll be joining you there. We can have some nice pina coladas by the beach.
There we go.
So Patrick, you're going to be speaking here in London at the PMI Southwestern Ontario Symposium, and you're going to be one of the keynotes. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about that, and also about balancing family and work. And for the listeners who are listening right now, if you are in the area, or London, Ontario is about 2 hours away from Toronto, 2 hours from Detroit, 2 hours from Buffalo, New York. So if you are in the area, it'd be great if you guys would come down to London for the 11th PMI Southwestern Ontario Chapter Symposium. Patrick is going to be a keynote, and I'm going to be actually leading one of the breakout sessions as well. So if you do make it to London on April 11th, 2014, be awesome to see you, so you can meet me and Patrick and a bunch of other people that are doing great work in project management here in the area. So Patrick, before we start, how about you give us a little bit of a background on you and what you do?
Well, I'm 45 years old. I'm an international best-selling author of a book titled Creating Your Own Destiny, and also another one titled The Affluent Entrepreneur. And as a professional keynote speaker, I travel and speak all over the world. I've done 2,500 paid speaking engagements on 3 continents, really inspiring people to get more out of life, more time, more money, more freedom, more health, more love, more happiness in life. And I think one of the challenges that we have is that as parents, as professional workers, as human beings, we're literally pulled and stretched in all directions. And unfortunately, oftentimes in life, we end up kind of going down the wrong path, working for somebody else, not so much working to achieve our dreams, goals, and visions. So as a professional speaker, I help people try to get back on track to pursue their dreams, goals, and visions instead of somebody else's. And then as a publishing coach, oftentimes it's a life dream for many people to write and publish a book. So when I'm not on the road speaking, I serve as a publishing coach, book marketing coach, and professional speaker coach.
Very nice. So how can one pursue their own dreams while working for other people? Or does everybody need to be an entrepreneur? What do you think?
Well, I think every employee is the ultimate entrepreneur, because they need to sell their corporation on the fact that they are the right person for the job. And so Time Magazine came out with an article several years ago titled You Inc., meaning that you are the entrepreneur and your biggest client is your employer. And it's your job to provide for your employer, to take care of your employer, to keep them as the number one prospect, the number one customer. And you do whatever it takes to overachieve, to achieve the dreams, goals, and objectives of that organization, to meet that mission statement, to serve those clients, customers. And then in doing that, as an entrepreneur, not only will you be paid handsomely as the employee, but you'll eventually create the skills, the time management skills, the experience, the leadership, the technology, all of those things that will make you employable should, for whatever reason, the company that you work for go out of business, be merged or acquired, or maybe perhaps another opportunity comes down the road that's a better fit for you and your family. And so as an employee, yes, we're all entrepreneurs and we're all serving our number one client, and that is the company that writes our paycheck.
Mm-hmm. So when someone changes jobs, basically they're just swapping one client for another. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. That is absolutely correct.
Okay, and this is something I talk about here on the show all the time. Is like you need, as a project manager, you need to stand on your own. You know how that is, right, Patrick? Our parents, our grandparents, they were known for working for the postal service or for the phone company, and they worked there their whole lives, and that's how they identify themselves. But now we can't do that anymore because we're just working at a job for 5-year stops, and then we move. So what's our identity but our own image, I guess, in the marketplace? And is that what you're saying as well?
Well, and unfortunately, like in my situation, I was in the printed circuit board industry in the late 90s, early 2001, and I basically sold printed circuit boards to companies like Intel and Nortel and Cisco and Motorola and Cisco Systems and those types of companies. And so we dealt with project managers all the time. And the challenge that we had was that all the project managers that we worked with were constantly under stress to meet their delivery and meet their deliverables. And so it was a constant negotiation back and forth. But I think the challenge that I've learned over the years is that a job is a good thing. But sooner or later, as I learned in 2001, all jobs come to an end. In the electronics industry that I was in, unfortunately, much of the manufacturing of the printed circuit boards got outsourced to China, to the Philippines, to Taiwan, and I was laid off at 2001. And then I went to work for another circuit board manufacturer, and then a year and a half later, they outsourced it as well. And so both of those companies eliminated their direct sales force. So I guess I tell people all the time that a day job is a good thing, but what I think all of us have learned in this new environment, this global 24/7 ultra-competitive workforce, is that jobs are no longer guaranteed. And for that reason, we need to sharpen our skills. We need to be ready. We need to be quick. We need to be mobile. And we need to know that we give our heart and soul to our employer as our number one client, knowing full well that 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the road, companies go out of business, mergers and acquisitions happen. And so unlike our parents, nobody works for one company their entire lives anymore, and that's just the reality of today's environment.
So let's talk about family and work a little bit. This is something I work for our family business, and I do my own side thing. Like for example, this podcast is I do this on my spare time, and it's all part of my own journey through entrepreneurship and managing my own image in the marketplace and things like that. But I find that the more I do that, I need to take time away from elsewhere. I can't take time away from work because they're paying my salary, right? And I don't feel like it's fair to my family to take time away from them. So how can one balance family and work, especially in today's day and age?
Well, there's a couple things. First and foremost, communication has got to be the most important thing with your spouse, your husband, your wife, communication with your children to let them know that, hey, look, this employee, this company, this corporation, this is what provides for us. This home, these cars, your college education, the employee has got to communicate to the family and let them know exactly every detail what's going on. Oftentimes there's, out-of-town travel, there's long nights, there's sometimes working evenings and weekends, there's big projects that are due. And so communication in the home needs to be the most important thing, knowing that there are going to be times when above and beyond extra hours are required. And if that's fully communicated at home, then when you go to work, you can be more supported in that way. Next thing is to do whatever you can to include your family in your work, meaning that hopefully you should have a 60-minute lunch hour. And logistically, sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't, but there's no reason why, working a 50, 60-hour work week, you can't take an hour off, or maybe an hour and 5 minutes, or an hour and 10 minutes, and meet your spouse for lunch 2 or 3 times a week, to make that extra connection during the week if logistically possible. Or, to take an hour off of lunch and then go to your kid's school play or school project or whatever else. or work an extra evening late so that you can go to your kid's baseball game that starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think what it is that the employee today needs to communicate to the corporation that, yes, families are very important. The employee today needs to communicate to the family that, yes, the day job is very important because that's what provides for all of us. And if communication can be done both ways, and when time off is needed to attend, baseball games or soccer matches, or understand that, I'm not going to work through my lunch 5 days a week and have a 7-minute lunch at my desk. I'm going to take this full hour that's due to me, and I'm going to, go have lunch with my son or my daughter at school, or I'm going to go have lunch with my spouse, my husband, my wife. These are the things that employees need to do, and these are ways that in which, if communication is done in all directions, then you can have a bit more of a balance in life and work.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think it's harder now to balance family and work than it was, let's say, 20 years ago?
Without question. As I travel and speak all over the world, I hear this over and over again, that because of cutbacks and because of downsizing, that many of today's workers, they're doing the jobs that 10 years ago 3 human beings did. And now they're in charge of project management, they're in charge of payroll, they're in charge of human resources. I see this all the time, especially at small businesses, where 10 years ago 3 people did these jobs, and now 2 of those people are no longer with the company, and now 1 person is doing the work of 3 people, and it's literally, causing them to work 70 hours a week. But the problem is they're only getting paid a salary of 40 hours a week, and hence it makes it even more challenging, now than ever. So yes, without question, that's an issue. I don't know the exact solution for that, but just know that a day job is a good thing. You have to bite your tongue. You have to do whatever it takes. And if you get pushed at 60 to 70 hours for too long, maybe it's time to update the resume. Maybe it's time to find an organization that values you more and doesn't try to run you into the ground. But unfortunately, we as employees must do anything and everything that we can to provide for our family. I did that. I quit my job, retired 10 years ago, and I've been full-time in my business for the last 10 to 12 years. And for a long time, I needed to put the 8 to 10 hours a day into my day job, and then another 2 or 3 hours a day into my part-time business, so that I could eventually create that plan B. So what we need to do is bite the tongue and understand that it's just the way of the environment, the way of the world, and the way that corporate works today, and we just do the best we can.
Mm-hmm. I read an article recently on and the point is that everybody should have a side hustle. What do you think about that?
Well, I tell people that you work 9 to 5 to make a living, but you work 5 to 9 to make a life. And that can be 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, that's not going to be every day, because you can't pull that off day after day. But yes, your plan A is your paycheck, and then your plan B is the passion that you create. And I'm constantly encouraging people to take an inventory of their most marketable passions and then transform that most marketable passion into their business. And as they do that, great things can come. And so, yes, you can call it a hustle, you can call it a side business, you can call it a plan B, but without question, if you won the lottery, you'd go to your financial advisor, and your financial advisor would ask you to invest in real estate, invest in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and this and that, and they'd like to diversify your portfolio. And so if that's what the financial people do to diversify, when we provide for our family, we should never find ourselves in a position where literally 100% of our income earning ability comes from just one company. So yes, without question, I agree with you. A side hustle is a good thing, and I like the way that you said that.
Mm-hmm. Now, project managers are listening right now, and I know them because I know my audience pretty well. They communicate with me. We have a great community, and one thing I hear over and over again is that people are stressed, people are tired, and for example, I will meet someone and they have a great story, they have great opinions about things and experiences, and I encourage them to blog, and the answer I get 90% of the time is like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I can barely make things work as they are. So what do you say to people listening right now who wish they could do these things on the side, but they can't find the time?
Well, one of the challenges is to take an inventory of all those things in your life that we do, which is a waste of time. And by all means, I'm not going to say that surfing the internet is a waste of time, but literally, 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day on Facebook is probably adequate enough. But yet there are people that will spend 1 or 2 hours a day on Facebook. And so we need to take an inventory, find out what areas of our life in which we're wasting time, and then transform that time into productive time, whether it be for a side hustle or for blogging or for whatever it is. I learned a long time ago from a guy by the name of Charlie Tremendous Jones, who wrote a book titled Life is Tremendous, this term called flexible planning. And what flexible planning is all about is he says, look, it doesn't matter what type of calendar you have. You could have an iPod, you could have iPad, you could have a day timer, you could have a Franklin Covey, you could have a calendar book. But he says the key is to get one calendar and then put your entire life in that calendar, your family life, your business life, your faith life, your social life, every part of your life into this one calendar. And then you prioritize those to-dos and all of the other to-dos and to-do lists that you have. Take those to-do lists, put them in your calendar, and then you prioritize those things 1 through 10, 1 through 20, 1 through 30 every single day. And I worked in the project management world for years when I was the global account manager for Intel, serving them as the printed circuit board manufacturer. And I know the truth of the matter. These MPMs, they're not MPMs. They're really firefighters. And that's all they do is they put out fire after fire after fire, one issue after another. And so the challenge is with this flexible planning, you write out your 30 to-dos that you need to do on your calendar, and then you prioritize them 1 through 30. And then on Monday, you work that plan as quickly and fast as you can, and you get through about 7 items. And then the fires happen at about 10 in the morning. And now it's 10 o'clock, and you spend the rest of the day putting out a fire, negotiating with vendors or suppliers, trying to get the parts or the materials or whatever you need to make this build happen. And then as a result of this, you go home at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night feeling like a failure because you had a list of 30 things that you had to do and only 7 of them got done. So what Charlie Tremendous Jones teaches us in flexible planning is take items number 8 through number 30, move them to your Tuesday calendar, reprioritize, and then repeat the same process. And by Tuesday, the fire doesn't happen now until 3 in the afternoon. So you get done items number 1 through 15, and then you go home late again. So now you move items 16 through 30 to the Wednesday calendar. And if you do that day after day after day, you will find yourself hitting all of your major deadlines. You will find yourself a little bit in control, and you will find yourself being able to be that successful firefighter, but still being an effective project manager. So flexible planning to me, I think, is the key to using one calendar, put your whole life in there, and that will give you the control of both your life and your work.
Mm-hmm. And I also find that we tend to find time for things that are second nature to us. We never complain of not having time to brush our teeth or to eat, because when we don't do that, we feel bad or feel hungry. So how can we put it, the side hustle or the 5 to 9 activities? Can we make them part of our routine so when we don't do it, we feel it?
Well, I think a lot of people believe that there's only 5 business days in the week. And I think what I found out, like when I wrote and published Creating Your Own Destiny and The Affluent Entrepreneur, I was challenged because I had a full-time day job through that entire process, at least on the first book I did. And so I found a way to create a 6th business day of the week and find another 8 hours in my life. And the way that I did that was that obviously Monday through Friday are the 5 business days. Those are long hours. And then I would just do anything and everything that I could to go to bed very early on a Friday and Saturday night. So instead of staying out till midnight or staying up till midnight watching movies or whatever else, I'd try to go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, maybe 10:15 on a Friday night and a Saturday night. And then I'd wake up at 4:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I'd work 4:30 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. And then when my family got up, I was done with that side hustle. I was done for the day. And then Saturday night, again, I'd go to bed at 10 o'clock. I'd wake up Sunday morning at 4:30 a.m. and work till 8:30 a.m. And so I'd find 4 hours on Saturday morning before the family woke up, and then 4 hours on Sunday morning before the family woke up. And by doing that, I found another 8 hours a day for my side hustle to make that happen. And then all of a sudden, that became a 6th business day of the week. And it doesn't have to be your part-time business. Oftentimes, you can't get ahead at work. And to pursue that advancement in your career or that promotion, Maybe what you do is obviously you take the work home on the weekend. So many people do that more and more. But I think the key is to hide that work for your job on the weekend from your family so they don't see it. So get up at 5 and work till 8:30. And then once your kids wake up, you're done and you're off and running and you're spending the day with them. And then on Sunday, do the same thing. Catch up on your email, your projects, whatever it takes. And I found those early morning times away from the phone, away from email, when nobody else is up in the house, to get caught up, whether it be at the day job or to get caught up in doing this side business as well. So both, I think, are good, and that's another way to find more time in your calendar.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is pretty hard. So how important is it for these things that we do from, our conversation was supposed to be for, balancing life and work and family, but this is an interesting tangent here, and it's absolutely completely related to family life. How important is it that these things we do from 5 to 9 be related to things we're passionate about? Because it's hard, to get up at 4:30 in the morning to do something that we think is marketable, but we're not passionate about. So what's that dynamic like?
Well, I found over the years there's a million ways to make $1 million. And the key is to find and execute one way in which you're most passionate about. And there's an old saying that says, if you love what you do, you'll never have to work another day of your life. And I remember in my early days as a professional speaker, I'd drive 5 hours to a speech, wouldn't get paid. This is like 20 years ago when I first began. And then I would speak on something that I was so very passionate about destiny, about being the captain of your ship, the creator of your destiny. The destiny occurs by choice, not by chance. Then I'd get in my car and drive 5 hours back. And sometimes this would be in the middle of the night, either side of that drive. And I just remember having so much passion towards it. And so there's an old saying that says, when you're doing what you love, your heart will generate an unlimited flow of energy to support whatever that passion is. So I would say, don't just do any little side business or any side hustle because you think that you can make some extra money at it. Do something that makes an impact on the world. Do something that makes the world a better place. Do something that solves problems that we have in our communities, and then combine that with something that it is that you absolutely do. Because in the early days of doing your side business, you might not get paid. But if you're loving what you do, then it's okay. Because whether you do it as a nonprofit or you do it as a business, the point of it is you're making a contribution to the world. And really, that's the goal. And that's what we need to do, is find something that we love, and you'll never have to work another day of your life.
Right. Yeah, find something you wouldn't mind doing for free, and you get so good at it that people would be willing to pay you to do it, right? Exactly.
You just nailed it. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, I didn't come up with it. I read it somewhere. I heard this from another person. But it's true. And the thing is, I in podcasting, I meet people who podcast as a hobby, and I know a number of people who started podcasting about something completely unrelated to their day jobs, because that's what their passion were. And all of a sudden now it's a business for them, and they were able to quit their jobs to do this. Is this what you're talking about?
Well, you know what? It just comes down to, and the point of it is, remember that most importantly through this process, the day job is the number one priority aside from your family. So obviously family and faith has got to stay as number one. And then number two is that day job. You have to do anything and everything so that if you were ever to leave your job, your employer is going to ask, now how many people do we need to hire to replace this person, to replace he or she that left, because that person was such a valuable asset. And if you focus on keeping that as your top priority, your top career opportunity, then you don't have to worry about this. There'll always be an opportunity for you in the marketplace, and you'll always be able to provide for your family. So that's the key, is focus on that first, and then on the free time, instead of playing video games, instead of doing something that you do just because you're spending time at it, turn that into a productive time that can produce a plan B income. And maybe that is just a hobby on the side, just an extra area to make money for your kids' college tuition. But do something where you can serve others, make some extra money, and it can be complementary to you, and you grow as a person, you grow as a leader, you grow as an individual, and then you're going to be more marketable not only to your current employer, but for future employment opportunities down the road.
Mm-hmm. And there are many of us who actually, our day jobs is actually what we're passionate about. A lot of people are really passionate about project management. Project management has this thing about, getting things done and completing things and delivering things, which, is a bit of it comes with a little bit of a rush that people can, people really enjoyed that. So what do you say to people who actually enjoyed their 9 to 5 and want to get better at it, but not necessarily starting something on the side?
I would say that they need to focus on, and first off, that's what our world needs, is people like that. And I can hear that in your voice. I know when I worked in corporate America, I felt that way as well. But the point of it is, those people need to focus on becoming even better people, focus on their leadership skills, focus on being the kind of person that others want to follow, because there's an unlimited level of growth for those people in the organizations. And a lot of people want to become better leaders, and so they're manipulating or they're trying to force people to become stronger leaders. And one of my mentors in leadership, John Maxwell, he said that the best leaders on the world are not people that force people to follow them, but they're the people that work on themselves. They develop their skill sets. They become stronger leaders. And the way they do that is they become the type of people that other people want to follow. And so I would say that if you find yourself in that category, strengthen your leadership skills and take that project management to the next level and become a vice president of procurement, become a director, a C-level executive with an organization. And you can make a very, very, very good living doing that and provide for your family. So I think that's a very honorable career track. And, just knowing that there's two kinds of people. You're either growing in life or you're dying in life. And it doesn't matter what you do for a living. Just do something that you're passionate about it. And if it's your project management job, grow as long as you can. And the moment that you stop growing, that's the moment you start dying.
Patrick, I really love your message. It really speaks to me. And I can't wait for your keynote here in London. I'm very very happy that you're going to be flying all the way from Hawaii to London, Ontario for this keynote, and I look forward to shaking your hand. Now, for the people listening right now, and they want to learn more about you and what you do, where should they go?
Best place to find me is at my website, patricksnow.com. That's patricksnow, SNOW.com. And there they can find a whole source of free resources to further boost their career. And I'm very excited to meet all the wonderful people there in Canada, in southwestern Ontario. I can't wait to share the day with you guys. I'll be there early morning, and I'll be staying there all day. I'm doing a morning kickoff keynote and an afternoon breakout speech, and so I look forward to meeting everybody and having fun and hopefully providing some insight, some strategies, some techniques and ideas to further boost their career, inspire them to continue their greatness, to be a better person, a better husband, a better wife, a better employer, and most importantly, a better person to help them become the person that they're potentially capable of becoming.
Awesome. I look forward to meeting you and all the listeners who will make the drive or to come and meet us on April 11th. Patrick, thank you so much, and I'll see you in a few days.
Thank you, Caesar. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you very soon.
You are listening to the PM for the Masses podcast.
Wow. So there you have it. How about that for inspiration and just being pumped. Again, if you can make it, Patrick and I would love to meet you here in London, Ontario, this Friday, April 11th, 2014. I understand there's not a whole lot of time for you if you're listening this week, but if you are in the Toronto area or Detroit area or Buffalo area, it's a short drive. And by all means, if you want to fly here, I'll be happy to see you too. For a link to the registration page for the 11th PMI Southwestern Ontario Chapter Symposium, you can visit today's show's notes at pmforthemasses.com/34, and that's just the number 34. So again, pmforthemasses.com/34. And really, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to remind everyone that all the links that Patrick and I spoke about today, including links to his books, can be found at today's episode notes, again at pmforthemasses.com/34. Now, what do you think of all the things that we talked about today? Has any of it resonated with you? Do you have a side hustle? What do you think of all this? Is project management your passion? It's not a given. I understand that not everybody likes it, but sometimes some people are in the industry and wish they were doing something else. So what are you doing with your 5 to 9 time? I'd love to hear from you. So again, go to today's show's notes at pmforthemasses.com/34, and you can leave a message there. You can leave a comment there. And also always remember that we have our Google Plus community, which is really nice. You can find that as well at pmforthemasses.com. You'll see that on the sidebar. Yeah, so let's talk about it. And also, before I go, I'd like to thank all of you who reached out to me after last episode. And if you remember, I talked about my post-vacation blues and being in a funk and trying to become productive again. And I'm happy to say it seems like I'm back in the game, doing everything I need to do with passion and with enthusiasm. So, and apparently this is a very common issue, and a lot of you have reached out to me to let me know that you felt it before, you experienced it before. So there you have it. Thanks for reaching out. And really, so that's it for the show today. I hope to see you this Friday here in London, or if you can't make it, I will speak to you next week in the next episode of the PM for the Masses podcast. And until then, remember that life is a project, and you, my friend, are the manager. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening to the PM for the Masses podcast.
Tune in next week for more great ideas on how to manage your projects better and truly stand out in your industry.
pmforthemasses.com